Hi guys, welcome to the Man United Agenda. Yes, it's the day after the FA Cup draw, which we beat Wigan 2-0 away from home. And there's a lot to talk about post-match, but we've had time since then to sort of go into more detail. Bathtime's been at it. And tonight's show will be very relevant, won't it, Bathtime, to yesterday's game?
I hope so. It's about low blocks and the patterns of play that you need to sort of do, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for, that you need to do to open them up. I know that we talk a lot about United's issue facing a low block, so I thought we would take some clips from yesterday, some general principles of how you break down a low block, and we'll see how United got on and if they're learning from the manager. So that's the aim for tonight, Omondi.
Good. So to keep that in mind, guys, I just want to say big up to Big T in the house. He's saying we need to draw their defenders out of attack and we need to draw their defenders out and attack the spaces created. Okay, diagonal runs, overlapping runs, and clever off the shoulder movement all help in beating a low block. Passing horizontally is the key. So Big T's been doing his homework. I want to say big up to Neil. I haven't seen you for a long time, Neil. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back, I should say. Yeah, and Happy New Year to you, bro. Andrew Williams in the house as well. He's saying good evening. DK Wilson, regular. How you doing, DK Wilson? All the way from the States, by the way. If you didn't know, we're international. Thank you, DK Wilson. And obviously, Stephanie Griffiths is in the house as well. And the T stands for tactician, talking about Big T. Big T, you're always welcome to join us. I mean, if you like these kind of shows, this is what we're talking about. There are lots of types of low blocks, I assume, says Andrew Williams. We will answer that question. Bathtime. Were we up against a low block last night? Big up Hydro, by the way.
Well, look, we were up against a low block, but I mean, every football team operates like in different sort of phases throughout a game. So sometimes they'll be in a different formation and so on. But I mean, actually, shout out to Big T first of all. I know that he doesn't have like a huge amount of characters to do, and he's not going to get everything that he wants to get in, but that's all really good, and I'm really impressed where he says passing horizontally is the key. I'm so pleased with Big T. He's a bigger fan of McTominay now than I am, I reckon. All right, so the first thing about a block, Omondi, is that that I think that some people are more biased towards something rather than something else in football. So they overestimate and underestimate things. A block is still attacking. If you're in a low block, you are still trying to score goals. And if you think back to, say, Brentford, when we lost 4-0, their fourth goal, they were in a low block. Exactly. And they scored on us. Like low blocks are not negative. Certainly not in the Premier League. And last night, Wigan were trying to be positive. So, and also conversely, when you're attacking a low block, you should be mainly concerned about defence first. Like who do you think the most defensive manager in the Premier League is?
Defensive manager. Just look at the top six. That's a tough one. I think games change. I think in the past you could have said someone like maybe a Mourinho or someone who's organised. I think a defensive manager is someone who's organised, who organises really well and hard to break down. A Moyes or a Deitch could be classed as defensive because they're organised. Not say they're defensive, but they keep their players organised and in position and on point. Just to say, come back. I was watching Middlesbrough versus Chelsea, and Chelsea had all the possession in the first half, and Middlesbrough went and scored from a low block as well on the break. So just your point is valid.
Well, I mean, for me, I think that the manager most concerned with defence in the Premier League is Pep Guardiola. All of his attacking structures start with the defence first, and whenever he changes his style of play or he sort of changes the team, he normally does it from the back first. Like there was Bravo and Edison. He has spent more money on fullbacks and defenders than anyone else. And things like the sort of rest defense and the counter press and stuff like this, these are all to stop teams scoring goals. So when it looks like you're sort of going all out attack and you've got loads of men forward, you still need sort of defensive structures in place, because that other team, as much as we're manipulating their block, they're trying to get at us as well. And so what I want to look at tonight is how successful we were at opening the block and how good we were at protecting ourselves, because both of those things are equally as important. And as a defensive midfielder, and you as a defender, we do not like scoring. We do not like having goals scored against us, do we, Omondi?
No, I don't think anyone does, but yeah, it's true. Andrew Williams sees your point regarding Pep, especially when he explained it so well. Big up to Matthew Bassett as well. Good evening, Matthew. You're going to enjoy this as playing football as well. So, yeah, settle down, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Just before we start, Omondi, tell me about your experiences in low blocks out in New Zealand and things.
I'll tell you experience that I had since I've come back.
Okay.
Not saying well, in New Zealand, I think I learned more about structure and organisation and playing a sort of a good brand of football from the back. I felt really comfortable that I had more time on the ball, and the structures were really more organised because it's full time. You know, you get more time to sort of focus on the game. You know, so the structure was really organised, and playing out from the back was a set piece. It was something I was drilled at. There, I had the fullback on targeting the touchline at an angle. I had options, 3-4 options in front of me, midfielder, and I was comfortable because all the players were a better standard. So I felt a lot comfortable playing in that low block and bringing the ball out from that and being organised and protected because you're playing with better players. So I think the structure is very important. But just coming back, we played a game with my brother, who I'm always trying to encourage my brother. I'm 10 years older than him, for our Sunday side a few years ago against a side full of Saturday semi-pro players, and they were sort of running the league. We beat them 4-3. We were 4-1 up in the first half, playing a low block. I was the one organising everything. I was very vocal from the back, and I had 2 lines of 4. The wingers kept them tucked in and not bombing forward, always in line with each other, in line with the ball, and was talking to everyone in front of me throughout the whole game. We were 4-1 up at half time. On the break, hitting them in transitions, which hurt them. In the second half, we were blowing, but we held out to 4-3, and it was easy because we just allowed them to have the ball wide. Great wingers they had, and I just covered the centre of the park, centre in the middle of the park. Anything coming in, I dealt with. And we just sat back and kept no space in between the lines, so they ended up having to get crosses in and get frustrated after that. And that was, my brother always refers to that as a very good. He was shocked that we could beat them, for 1, and 2, how easy it was. We were strolling, even though it's 4-3, we were strolling in our shape, in our structure throughout the whole second half, and it was easy. So yeah.
I there's 2 things about a low block that I love. One is I love playing in one when there's 10 or 15 minutes to go and it's all out defending. I love the sort of I love heading a ball. I love kicking players. I love the physical side of it, and then all the back slapping when you clear and things. Like, I remember we were down to 10 men once, and when the ball got to me, I must have kicked it. It must be the biggest kick I've ever done in my life. I managed to clear it into a housing estate, and I celebrated like. Who was that Italian that ran around winning the World Cup? Like, I celebrated.
Yeah.
I celebrated like him.
No.
And the great thing is, I don't know if there's a pretty standard training drill to do against a low block, and it is every footballer's favourite drill, because the first part of it is, you always have a sort of fun drill to end or start a session.
Yeah.
Against low block, the fun drill is there's a goalkeeper and 3 defenders, and everyone else is in a semicircle, and you move around as the drill goes on. But basically, it's 1 versus 3 dribbling, and you've got to, like, when you get past the ball, the 3 defenders jump on you, and you've got to get past them. So obviously, the 3 defenders just absolutely kill you most of the time, and it's really good fun, just bashing people. But once in a while, someone does it and beats all three of them, and you never hear the end of it. Like, I did it once, but I forgot to score because I was too excited and I was just running off.
Yeah.
But playing against a low block, on the other hand, is a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll get into it after we just checked if there are any fun comments.
Well, here's a joke. I believe one of these drill is a Makita. Is that a name of a drill? A Bosch drill, maybe, or so? Makita, or is that an actual football terminology? I don't know. But
I've never heard of that.
It must be a joke, Andrew. I'm sure it is. Rajat's in the house as well. He's saying hi to everybody. And they were just talking about a dive yesterday, whether Bruno, whether it was a dive or not. And here's one from Rajat. This is a good one. It said, Man United only like to play counter-attacking football. Oh, yeah. So it is a Bosch drill, Makita. I didn't know that, but I took a guess. Andrew, I knew you were fibbing and in jest there. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, as always, I've sort of got one of my PowerPoints with a couple of sort of key principles on. We've got animations of the goal, which, to be honest, has nothing to do with beating a low block. But then I've got 3 or 4 clips of us playing against a low block, and I'd like everyone to sort of see what they think. So, how to beat the block. As Andrew alluded to earlier, there are different types of low block, and there are more than this, but these are the most common shapes you'll see, and they all have advantages and disadvantages. Have you ever played in any of these, Omondi?
Yeah, I imagine I have. Yeah, the first 2 definitely. Just looking, the third one. Yeah, I've played in all of those, definitely.
The third one is by far the most offensive because it doesn't have a rest attack. In the other 2, you see the 10 and the 9. Those are for your transitions. Number 3, or the furthest on the right, is one that is meant to be protecting the half spaces the most. And this is the shape you'll see the last 5 minutes of a World Cup final or something like that. This is that you're not even bothered about scoring a goal here. This is just all out defense. And what you can see is that there's very little space vertically or horizontally between the players. Like, the lines are tight, and you're conceding space in front of you and to the side. Yeah. Right. Personally, the low block that I've played in the most is number 2. That's I think that when you have 3 centre backs, in this case, the 4 and the 5, it means they can be more aggressive at going to win the ball because they've got the security of that 6. So number 2 is the one that you're most likely to see. And then the 2 and the 3 are the ones, the fullbacks are the ones charged with basically protecting the half spaces. So is everyone pretty happy with that? That's a low block? It's something they recognise?
Yep. No comments, but yeah, that is the way.
All right.
Very compact, protecting the most important zone, isn't it? And allowing, obviously, like you said, which is really clear, having that space in front of you free and allowing space wide. As I was saying earlier, when we played against that Harefield team, we let them go out wide, do what they had to do. But as soon as the ball came in the middle, we dealt with it. We had numbers there, and we weren't stretched or dragged out of position. But yeah, so how do you got to break this? I'm saying, as a team being attacking, how do you break this down? I'm really interested to know this for my Sunday team.
I know. You can have the presentation afterwards. I've just seen a good comment actually from Matthew Bassett saying, "How do you defend set pieces for your respective teams?" One thing I'll say about like, we can talk about that later, Matthew, but you've just reminded me of a good point, which Omondi will like, is that with the low block, right, the space is in front of you and to the side to defend. If you do an in-swinging corner, you are going forwards to clear it. You're attacking the space in front of you as a defender. And that's really important to the low block, that you move forwards, you can't move backwards. And that sometimes that gives you an advantage in aerial situations because you're meeting the cross instead of like running backwards and trying to clear it. No, Omondi?
Should we say in swinging corners? Is you saying that's
No,
easy?
across.
In swinging crosses.
Yeah, they're easier for defenders to clear than out swingers.
Why? Explain that
Because
again.
if it's out swinging,
Yeah.
hang on, have I said I've got it the wrong way around?
That's what I'm
Out
thinking.
swinging is easier to defend than
Okay.
in swinging, because with an in swinging cross, you're at the drop point where the ball's at the sort of like it's starting to drop, where you want to make contact with the football.
Yeah.
That means that you have to move backwards to head that.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's in swinging,
Yeah.
because it's going away from you.
Yeah.
If it's out swinging, because it's if it's out swinging, you step forward to meet it at its lowest when it begins to lose like momentum. So it's easier to defend because you're stepping into that space as opposed to stepping backwards.
Yeah.
And so you only want to use in swingers when there's space in behind.
That's fair. That's fair. Also,
Yeah.
I think if I'm defending set pieces, we should do a lot. I want players front post. It's set basics: front post, back post, protecting those areas because people like to peel off to sort of because it's always congested in the middle. People want to peel off either front post, make a run from front to back, or from back to front, and get a flick on or get a back post header and get a second phase of play. Because that long ball with a set piece, Matty, when the ball's coming in, flighted, you got time to read it. And as a defender, I've got time. It's in the air for 2 seconds. I've got time to gauge it, read it, and come through as attacker and clear that header. But I think if the ball's played out of my zone and then played back into my zone, then we have to reset and start again. And that's what makes it more difficult. So I think the best sort of set pieces are the ones which are not just pumped into an area, because good defenders will dominate that, but ones where I either played near post or far post and then flicked on from the near post where you have that's random, you don't know what's going to happen, and say far post, flicked on or play back into the zone, and then you're out of shape, or you could have been shuffled out of shape or something dangerous like that. So I think the best sort of form of defending that is to have somebody marshalling or going with the runners and 4 guys protecting the width of the goal. That's how I set up. It's not to say it's good because we do concede a lot from set pieces. But if I'm playing, I'm making sure there's a free man like myself, because I'm quite tall, who's gonna pick up and attack something while the other guys are sort of in position or zonal or marking.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything you can really add to that, except that I like. I agree with the Omondi. You want a free man to head the ball, and that should always be your best guy in the air. The second best should always be near post. You want a really if you think of players like Drogba and Ronaldo, getting too squinty with the blue on green graphics. Send me a color scheme that you would like, and I'll do that color scheme for you next week. But yeah, if you think of Drogba and Ronaldo, they were always the near post headers, certainly at corners taken or free kicks from wide areas. And it's always good to have a very good header on that area, because, I mean, how many times do you see the ball not clear the first man in the Premier League? It's because they've got a very good header in that area, unless you're United, where we put Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, I was about to say. Harry Kane used to do that for Spurs as well.
Yeah, honestly, just look at the Premier League. They're all, good attackers who can head the ball will always be near post at set pieces. Right. Don't worry, we're going to get more in depth, Omondi, but there are 3 basic baby things of beating a block: over, around, or through the block. So over, very, very rare. That's basically a long ball to the back stick. I've only ever seen this work once, and that was when McTominay scored against Brentford in the last minute, where we just smacked it up, tried to hit the edge, and Maguire won his header, and then McTominay got it. You'll very rarely see a goal from over the block. Around the block is the most common, which is that because they're conceding space in wide areas, you then get to the wide area and you try and swing a cross in, but they're so well protected, so compact, that it's difficult. It's difficult to score, just spamming crosses. You think Fulham did it to us with Moisey? And did we put like 35 crosses in the box or something? Didn't score. Do you remember that?
When Moyes, this is when Moyes was manager of Man United, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, this is a long time ago. I don't recall. No, I can't remember that.
All right, and then the most exciting way to play is to try and play through the block, but it's also the hardest. Omondi, you're shaking your head. Do you?
I think that is definitely hard. Even Premiership teams, you see them. It's like you say to them, "I'm inviting you to play through us." You can't. A lot of the time, it's very difficult to do. Like you talked about the drills earlier. It's so difficult once the defenders are on point like that. But yeah, just going back to the first one, I think it's not necessarily a long ball. Sometimes I remember Barcelona used to play that ball, a diagonal, just over the top, chip it, dink it over the top of behind the last man, and someone would be running onto it, like Daniel Alves or something, and squaring it just to beat a low block. So
more a third man combination though, which we could talk about later. But that's more like sort of players' rotation getting through it. As I say, these are just like baby steps. This is basics. Let's get a bit more complicated. So I often talk about having 5 in attack and 5 in defense. And this is why you want 5 in attack, because you occupy the 5 central areas. You occupy the 5 areas of the football pitch, or the 5 corridors. So you've got 2 players out wide, which are like the wingers. You've got 2 in the interior, and you've got a centre half. So you've got a centre back pinning the centre halves. It's been a very long day, boys. I'm getting all my words muddled. And so that is how you stretch the block, right?
Right.
And then is there anything to comment there? I haven't put them in. I haven't put the enemy in their proper positions. I'm just showing that's what you want to do to stretch it, because you couldn't play like this again if you've got 2 players out wide. You can't play like that.
Okay.
For the defenders.
Yeah.
All right. And then, as well as having your 5 in attack, you need a defensive structure. And the 2, 6, 4, 5, and 3 are forming the rest defense. And they're extremely high up the pitch. Now, if you look, you've got a 2 and a 6 and a 5 central. When you've got 3 players central, that means that you can have width in the areas. And then the 4 and the 3 are going to defend wide areas on transitions.
Right.
And with that structure, you're going to open up the block a little bit. Agreed?
Yep.
Okay. Have we got any comments here?
No, just talking about the colouring. I think blue and red, and a colour wheel as well. I think the colours are good. It's queer. Blue and red, typical football colours. There's no clash in there, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Ed, if you're like writing in to Match of the Day asking for like football teams to change their shirts because you're not a fan of the colour scheme. But let me know what colours you like, and I'll put them in for next week. All right, here we go. This is the first part of breaking open a block. Is you've got to play behind and between, right? A lot of people would say that's it.
Big up, Ed.
Do you know what? When I read "As You Were," I saluted the screen. So behind and between, right? Often we will hear things like McTominay is hiding in a football match. This is incorrect, because what you want to do is you want to play behind the players and in between them, right? That means that a guy's got to come to you and you can pin him. You're in between the lines. So the 2 that are marking you, the 2 that are in front, for example, they've got to do 2 things. They've got to apply pressure to the man on the ball, and they've got to screen the pass.
Yeah.
Right. So what essentially you're doing when you play behind and between is you're pinning about 4 players in a certain area of the pitch. Like they're all committed and they can't go. And you do that by playing in between the lines. So not on the same line as the enemy. Like you've got to get in the space in between them. And that's why we always talk about why you want tight lines, why you don't want to give any space up, because you get naughty bastards who piss about in between those lines, and it affects your organization. And then so you're going to use the players in front of you to learn how to know how to position yourself, and then you want to create angles by offsetting. So what this is basically is getting on diagonals, right? So that when the ball is passed to you, you got an easy 45-degree pass to someone left or right, whatever. Right? Is that all? Everyone happy with that?
Yep.
Yeah? You happy with this, Omondi?
Yep. On point.
All right. I've forgotten what the next one is. Yes, the half space. Okay. Key to beating a low block is access to the half space. The half space is basic. It's not wide. It's not central. It's the in-between ground. And it's disputed territory because you don't know who should go out to close someone down in the half space. So when you start occupying half spaces, you begin to pull people out of their shape. And that's why they're so important in football. So with the half space, you actually want to leave it open quite a lot of the time and not have it occupied. And when you're on the ball, you want to attack the half space because someone has to come out and meet you. Right? So that's pulling people out. When that happens, you want runs on both sides. So you want a channel run in between the fullback and the centre half, and you want a run on the other side. So if you imagine you're a poor fullback, you see Rashford coming towards you, and you've got two runners on either side coming in behind. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, right.
Right? And then if you are in the half space on the ball, just keep it. Hold it there and wait for someone to come out to you. And then, as always, be on different lines to players you can pass to. So you don't all want to be standing in a straight line.
Yep.
Defenders like standing in a straight line. Attackers all want to be offset. So if you look at this here, this is the half space where the number 10 and 8 are. And they're not on the same line as the 7 and the 9, the players that they can combine on. This allows you to do third man conversations. So is everyone understanding this so far? Yeah.
Ed's tuned in. Stephanie's talking about the angle of the dangle. Thumbs up. And Rajat is saying, what? Huh? I don't think he's getting it, but yeah, it will all come to light.
All right. And now we're going to talk about moving the block. Yes. This is probably the most complicated part. All right. When you switch, which means, moving the ball from one side to the other, you only want to do it from central positions. If only David Ginola had been told this, he might have still been playing for France. And the reason that you only move the ball from central positions, we'll get into. But I was
going to ask why that, but yeah, I want to know about that.
Yeah. You want to work the ball horizontally to move a block. So if the block is on the right-hand side, you want to pass the ball across horizontally. And every time you pass the ball, you need to commit a man before you pass it, because the block doesn't move at the same. Not everyone moves at the same pace in a block. So if you move the ball a little bit slower and you wait for someone to be committed or try and come out and engage you, you begin to open gaps up. And if players are behind and between, you can get those balls in between the lines. So you work it across, and when you work it across, you're always scanning. You're scanning to see where the hole in that block is to get it through. And now, committing a man before passing, right? Everyone laughs at me because I think Tyrone Mings is a very, very good centre-back that United should sign. And the next reason is, the next sort of key to breaking the low block is one of the reasons why. Against, I think it was Newcastle United recently, was it Fabian Schär who constantly drove the ball up the pitch? Do you remember?
Yeah, I definitely remember Maguire doing it to Villa and Mings doing it to us last season or the season before.
Yeah, this is basically, if the block isn't biting, one of the centre-backs Their job is to break from their defensive line with a carry, and that means that someone has to come out and meet them, and you create the space that way. So this is probably PK is best known for this. John Stones used to do this as well.
Beckenbauer,
of course. Obviously, everyone who's going to receive the ball should be behind and between at an angle. So this is how you open the block. You move the ball back and forth, constantly scanning. Occasionally, a centre-back might drive through. And players, this is so important, behind and between. I know Matthew Bassett's here, and he's a midfielder. Just do this in your games, Matthew. Just get behind someone and in between. And you'll annoy everyone on the enemy team doing that. So, are we happy with how we move the block, boys and girls?
Just, a few comments here. DK Wilson saying, want to see the next defensive adjustments. So, getting into this, definitely saying here, having ball carrying players helps massively. Surely, I guess, to unblock the low block. That's, good. Rajat saying here, we need to have players who are good, have good awareness and can open up space to attack. So, I think you're on point.
And that, Rajat, is where rotations come in to help open up the space. So essentially, what you want to be doing is you always want to have the central areas occupied, because that pins the block, right? If not everyone can go out to the wide areas if you've got men in the center. You also always, in anything in football with the ball, you want players to be creating diagonals, because that means that this is what used to get Michael Carrick all the time, is if someone played on a diagonal, Carrick would just step up to try and cut the pass to them, and it leaves a little gap in behind, and you want to run channels. So if someone runs a channel, say Delo runs the channel, and Delo was in a central position, someone's got to move into that central position. Right. And that's how the rotations work. So there's always got to be. Yes, I do, DK Wilson. I think this is the last slide. This is the last slide, and then I'll show you moving pictures. This is just because some people are visual, some people like to listen, some people like to read. So we're trying to cover all the bases. And then, as always, behind and between the lines, and protect yourself with a rest defense. Okay?
Good.
Is everyone happy with that? As anything to add? Any problems?
No, I've got the thumbs up from DK Wilson. But I think once you put this with an illustration, I think it would be a lot clearer.
Yeah, it probably would be. So, Omondi, is this useful for Woodlands?
Yeah, it's useful for us when we are playing in low block, because sometimes we're playing against better teams and we don't have much possession. So we need to be organised in that respect. They don't like it, but this is something as a coach for me, because I'm not playing and organising it. I have to sort of try to get this over on the players a lot of the time. And it's very, I think, it's like 1 to 10. I'm on level 1. Taking baby steps towards that at the moment, because some people don't want to take it on board and they don't listen to sort of simple instructions about the shape and keeping the ball and that kind of thing. So it's a really long, hard task. So I think it's harder to demonstrate it from the sidelines. It's better to demonstrate it on the pitch, which I'm planning on doing very soon.
Yeah, no. Is that why you're in the gym?
Yeah.
Good for you. All right. Now, the bad news is the first goal we scored has nothing to do with being a low block, but I've animated it and we can go through it.
Good.
And it will involve principles that we talked about from last week. So it's like a refresher. So let me just get it up. There it is. All right. So I'm going to present my screen. And if you let me know, Omondi, when it's working.
Screen's up.
Screen's up. Can you see all the players?
Yep. We're in red.
We are in red. Mr. Tickle is on the ball in their goal. Would you like us to... Actually, just before we do this, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to animate because Aaron Wan-Bissaka does like a tackle that backspins. Kobe and Humphreys fight over the ball. So I've just simplified one or two things in this. So forgive me. But are you ready to go, Omondi?
Yep. So the keeper kicks it out almost to the halfway line. Challenge there. It's gone back to Humphreys, who's driving forward down the middle. Wan-Bissaka stops the ball, gets to Scott, who actually comes with the ball now, plays it out wide to Bruno. He plays it wide again to the wide man. I don't know who it is. It's a crossed ball. Rashford gets it, waiting for the ball. She shoots, passes it out to Dalot in the half space, and he curls it through a vast amount of players into the goal. This was the goal from yesterday. So it started from their goal kick. And then we got a lot of runners here. Scott, it's similar to what they did against, the Wolves did against us the other day, Ahmed. Not was it Wolves?
Forest,
sorry. Yeah. Rashford shoots. They've attracted to Rashford and Dalot comes in. Dalot, I watched the goal the other day, and Dalot, he started his run. He's well off it. Once Rashford got the ball, by the time Rashford shot, he wasn't even in focus. But he managed to get forward. He timed his run perfectly. So well done, Wan-Bissaka stopping the play. They've got numbers forward. Have they got a rest defense here?
Not really.
Okay.
Who's
the white guy? Is it
Alejandro Garnacho?
Oh, Garnacho. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I call him Ali. It's just easier.
So they've rushed back into the box, which they should do, but Dalot comes from deeper, and they didn't pick him up. But I think Wigan done well there to get the numbers back. They had a lot of numbers in the box when Rashford had the ball there.
All right, should we go through it?
Yep.
Okay, we're not in a brilliant position here. We've got a +1 though, and like Kobe and Humphreys was an interesting contest because Kobe ate him alive on the ground, but Humphreys destroyed him in the air. So Varane was constantly close to Kobe a lot of the time to sort of babysit him for aerials. And shout out to Wigan. They played out from the back really well. But so the ball gets booted over. This sequence here is the bit that I couldn't animate, but basically that happens. And Adiko and Scott have a 50-50. If McTominay loses this 50-50, we're actually in a bit of trouble because Asgard and Godu are being picked up, but you've got the other Shaw and Claire coming in and not enough cover in the centre. So I'm not completely happy with this shape, but McTominay absolutely boshes him off the ball here. Right.
Well done, Scott.
And now, right? Everyone is committed here. So McTominay is ahead of the 2 and the 8. There's 4 players versus 4 players, basically. So very similar to what Forest did to us last week. All McTominay has to do here is carry the ball. Yeah. And this is so important. If McTominay passes the ball here, it's much easier to defend because the rule, Omondi, is you have to give up space in even in it when the numbers are even, right?
Right.
So McTominay drives with the ball. Alejandro creates the overlap. Rashford, he could make that move in there, but Rashford's going to try and get round the back, which I'm happy with. Rasmus, I think, has got to pull here
to take the defender away.
Yeah. What you want Rasmus in between Morrison and Claire, and the reason why is that here we've got a 3.
Okay.
So we're definitely going to be able to work something here with the quality of our players. And if Rasmus If Rasmus makes that run there, he's creating a space here.
Yeah.
So Bruno can attack that. Alejandro can get down there. Rashford can come in here or come in here. It's not great striker play what Rasmus does, but we'll forgive him. Brilliant from Bruno and Scott here.
So Scott gives up the ball and then runs away.
He's driving into this space here. Okay. Rasmus should make that run there. And then Rashford is coming around the back. Because Hughes has been committed by Bruno. And do you remember when we talked about 2v1 defending?
Yep, in the last show, yeah.
Like Bruno commits Hughes and releases the ball at the right time. So now it's on Rasmus, Scott, and Rashford to get into good positions. And here we've got a rest defense. And you'll notice our goal scorer is here in his own half. So as it goes on, ball's played in. I still think that Rasmus should be attacking the channel here, and
once again to drag the defender away. Yeah.
And then that means that Scott and Rashford can get through. Garnacho delivers an okay ball. Rashford bangs it. It comes back to him. And Dalot has made a very important and intelligent decision here because he doesn't overlap.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he doesn't overlap is because we need the rest defense.
Yeah.
I know there's only one guy in the rest defense, but we still need it. If Dalot overlaps, we're not using the space correctly because we have for once basically cleared zone 16, which is zone 16. This is the most dangerous place in football, and that is normally packed. But Dalot recognises it, and this is why I think Dalot scores more goals than you would think. Is he understands the importance of this area, and he gets in it quite a lot. And then, very, very simple, ball gets played to him, and he just hits a world-class curler into the box. So that's our first goal, Omondi. And do we have any comments or questions?
Kobe, just some credit to Kobe from Rajat saying his passing and dictate from deep was good. Kobe and Garnacho were better, says Ed, and we're relying on our youth and thing. But yeah, very just for me, a lot of similarities to Nottingham Forest and how we exploited Wigan. And yeah, they got their numbers back. I think they were very determined to get back in this situation, which they did really well. Number 11, especially, who's pushed up. It's what we didn't see last time. And
it was Ahmad.
We didn't see our boys running back like that, but they worked back Wigan, and they would be pleased that they got numbers back in the box. But like you said,
they'll be so happy with that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't protect zone 16 where Dalot attacked that area really well.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. But to be honest, you just wouldn't expect a fullback to be able to score that goal. Like,
yeah, just also, do you want to say just my observation as well? I always felt like what we saw there is that the rest defense 5, defending 5, they are able to don't have to be sitting on the halfway line. Like Dalot could push forward. He could make decisions because sometimes in my mind I'm thinking, right, the rest defense just sits there and doesn't compress the play, but they have done a bit here. They've got closer and closer to the play. As you can see, Kobe, Evans,
look at that,
Wan-Bissaka getting closer and closer. So in my mind I'm thinking they would be at the halfway line. Just
no. Much further. And also shout out to my boy McTominay for carrying the ball. This is one of the things that is so important to have in a football team, and something that United definitely need to get another player that is capable of, in this position here, being able to drive up the pitch with the ball under control, because this is, that's a huge amount of space that they're giving up for us. So that's really important. That little drive of 20 meters or whatever is incredibly important. and it contributes massively to the goal. If this is Casemiro or someone like that who's not a particularly good ball carrier, the ball gets played a bit earlier and they're able to recover, because when you pass the ball, instead of carrying it, you're actually taking yourself out of the attack. So happy with that, yeah?
Yeah, just a couple comments here. Ed saying, bath time, any chance of him biggling your pointy thing, your little arrow? And DK Wilson saying it forces the opponent to commit so many players if things go awry. Sorry, it's difficult for them to then attack us quickly, to quickly attack us as well. DK Wilson, respect, man.
Yeah. Ed, I don't know how to embiggen my pointy thing. Oh my god. I don't know. I don't know how to make it bigger and things like that. Yeah, the cursor, I know.
Okay.
I'll try. I'll see if I can get a bigger thing. All right. So that
just seeing that goal. I mean, obviously it's the day after you done. I love the graphics. I love the animation. It really does highlight a lot of stuff, especially when you go through it again. I mean, you could watch the goal on YouTube day after. You can watch the game live, and I don't think every detail is covered like you can do with this animation there. So I've seen a lot in that goal that says to me, okay, it makes a lot more sense to me how that happened.
Well, also shout out to ITV Sports, because they had a camera that covered the entire pitch. So when they showed it, I could get everyone. Like, a lot of the time I have to sort of like not guess, but I have to spend a long time looking for where Delo or someone is, especially if they're in wide areas.
Big up UK Strange, by the way. I said UK Strange. It's UK Strange.
All right. So the next series of clips that I have are us trying to manipulate the low block. They don't really result in anything, but what I'm going to try and show is the movements and things like that. And everyone in chat appears to be bigging up Kobe Mainu. You're going to see some absolutely fantastic stuff from Kobe in these clips, just in terms of his positioning. So let's get into it, I guess.
Good. Let's go. This is from the Wigan game, obviously, yesterday.
This is from the Wigan game. Okay. Just right. I've embiggened. All right, Omondi, talk us through this.
Okay, so we're going to sit back here. We're playing in defence. Dalot's gone wide. Has come back into Dalot's playing kind of centrally into Kobe. He's into his feet. He plays a nice ball into Bruno, and we rotate again. Bruno's come deep to get the ball from Rashford, who's wide and stretching them. Their blocks being stretched a little bit here. Is Dalot and Bruno just popping ball around, and it's played in from the half space across, which is something that the manager likes to do from Bruno, half space crosses. So a lot of rotation of the ball, a lot of movement, rotation of the players as well, trying to stretch them. It's gone wide, which means the player has to come over wide to Rashford, who holds his position well. And now Dalot's and Bruno got a lot of position, a lot of time on the ball in a good area there. So there was a good cross from Bruno into the danger area.
All right, should we go through this?
Let's go.
All right. I mean, that's bigger, but I don't like it. All right, you can see the back five. You can see the back five that's better. That Wigan have there. You can see that Alejandro is occupying a wide area. You see Rashford is occupying a wide area. You've got Rasmus central, and you've got Scott and Bruno able to sort of get into half spaces or the interior. And the key thing is you've got a lovely rest defence. Yeah. So this is a really, really nice attacking setup for us. Ball goes out, and Delo, once again, because he's part of the rest defence, that structure there, Delo cannot make that overlapping run. Okay? He has to stay in this area here, and this is exactly where we want him. And I'll show you why, because when the ball is played to him, Godot has to go out and meet him. And look at the channel, Omondi. The channel is open, right? Kobe So you can see the players like Bruno. If he makes that movement there, he is behind and between Shaw and Goddu. If Kobe makes a movement in there, he's behind and between. The same for McTominay. This is really, I know it's just Wigan, but this is really good positional play from everyone. And we've also, because of the rest defence, we've got a structure here where we can move the ball to a different area securely. So this is, I mean, we are a top class team, so you'd expect this, but we don't see this enough. So Bruno makes the channel run and he opens a gap, right? So Kobe's got the ball, and I can't illustrate it here, but Kobe's control and his half turn is absolutely brilliant, right?
In a tight area as well.
In a tight area, and he slips it through to Bruno, and Bruno has run off the shoulder of Shaw because, look, 3 players attracted, run off. Garnacho and McTominay, they like the look of this. Like, Session isn't very good, and he's got a deal there. Jones, wrong side, and Adeko has been pulled in. So we're looking good. And Bruno, he pops it back to Delo. He pops it back to Delo because he wants to keep possession, but also that he wants to widen the gaps here with Jones, Asgard, Shaw, and Goddo, because Goddo and Shaw are going to have to come and apply pressure because Humphreys is a big lump, right? He just literally if you watch him, he just sits next to Varane for the whole clip. And you know, I'm not his biggest fan, but shout out to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's doing exactly the right thing here. He's just holding his position and giving us like a structure to work with. So we exploit the wide area. Just Jurassic Park from Kobe. He's made a blindside run into the channel. He's dragged Shaw with him, and we've opened access to the half space. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And look at
Especially
that.
with the points you put out earlier about how to stretch teams in a way. It's especially when you show that early and then see it in the illustration, it makes a lot more sense now, you know?
Yeah. Like,
because the goal is to create spaces and rotate, and you do that by rotating, and everything's been on display here in this one little move, which results
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
And like, look, we've got, if you remember, like, look, our wingers are not on the same line as the players they want to combine with. We've got a triangle there, got a triangle there. We've got like the 3-1 structure here and here with the rest defense. Such beautiful, like it's honestly, it's some of the best movement I've seen from the team, and I genuinely think this could be our best team going forwards. Like, I'm not sure about Luke Shaw, Casemiro getting back in the team. Maybe Martinez. Okay, but then gets played into Bruno. Bruno's in the half space. Ideally, like, oh, and by the way, Kobe has run that channel there, so Kobe's offside, but he's pulled people with him. What we would like to see is we would like to see one of Shaw or McTominay drop into that space, but they're both physical goal scorers, so it's possible Alejandro should be making that rotation with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because what we're looking to do is create an overload here. And overloads are not just numerical. Sometimes it's about physicality. And Alejandro Garnacho he's not going to be a great back post scorer. Yeah, he'll be more like sort of near post scorer. But that's stuff to work on. So Delo and Bruno ping it about, and once again, Kobe Mainu has made all this space here.
Occupying these defenders, very good.
Yeah, his movement is brilliant. And Rashford, I know Rashford was very annoying, but literally just staying out here, he's got Goddu pinned. And Claire is the left back, and these guys here have got to protect the channel. And Kobe is just being a little git because all he's doing is running backwards and forwards through the channel. and it is driving their line back. So do you see that that's their line now?
Yeah.
Like, and
there's
that's
no
their
one getting out
second
to
line.
guys on the ball. So
Exactly.
when you were saying like Kobe might be in an offside position or run offside, but it's with intent to sort of create space for what Bruno and Bello are doing right now.
And then Bruno, I don't know about this, but he sees McTominay and he's probably had enough and just he swings it in. It's not a bad ball, but maybe we could do a little bit. Maybe we could do a bit better in that situation. But I wanted to illustrate how good the rotations, the movements were.
I felt he could have done that because he had a lot of space because of the rotations, because of the way we worked the ball and moved him around. He was in a lot of space there, which is credit to the team, you know. So he was able to have time to get that half space crossing. It's really wonderful how they opened it up and got all this space.
That's brilliant. This is why I think Kobe should be playing a bit more forwards because of this movement that I saw. But when you watch the whole thing again, you see the interplay between Kobe, Bruno, Delo. It's absolutely brilliant. These three have just completely opened them up. I just think we could get more quality from Bruno here.
Yeah.
Like, because McTominay does actually make, before Bruno crosses, McTominay does move into the hole to try and receive. But like, this is just nitpicking, isn't it? Like, you can see here that as much as people say the players don't understand the system or United have no clue how to break down a low block, and it's only Wigan, they do understand what they're meant to be doing, and they're actually doing it quite well, in my view.
Yeah. And just to go back
comments
to your point, with the graphics there, Stephanie's saying here, Dennis Irwin was a last right-footed left back. Not saying Delo is in the same class, but seems to be giving us a better attacking threat despite down the left, despite Rashford's poor form. But just going back to Rashford on the illustration there, you said he held his position, and that was a good thing he did there, rather than trying to seek the ball, whatever. He drinks, as you said, with the 5 stretches the low block. You got 2 wingers in the 2 wide spaces, and then someone has to go out to you just in case, because you don't get a one-on-one situation. So it does stretch the block and their defensive unit. And as you saw there, it ended up with us creating space to have a cross. Here we go. Here's one from DK Wilson. What should Bruno have done once he received the pass?
I mean, look, Bruno's tried to sort of get us in a goal-scoring situation, but I think everyone understands that Bruno is not a patient man, and sometimes he just tries stuff. And in isolation, it's absolutely fine. But I think over the course of a season, I'd prefer him just to keep the ball and wait for one of his players, because he had a huge amount of time and space. So, of course, he can take the shot on, he can take the cross on, but I think that the cross isn't optimal. I think that we should have carried on with the rotations and hope that Wan-Bissaka and Garnacho change places, and that Rasmus got to the back post. So we've got Wan-Bissaka, McTominay, and Rasmus attacking Session or whatever he's called. It's a minor thing, but these minor things are what makes a difference over the course of a season. And as Bruno plays in the system more and begins to understand the harmony of his teammates, maybe he'll make better decisions, or maybe he'll add more quality.
I made a good decision in Greg's today. I also took a cross on.
That's one of your better ones.
Thanks,
to
Greg,
be fair, I didn't feel pomp listening to that.
Here we go. So DK Wilson saying Bathtime, thumbs up. I see what you're saying. So with the whole breaking down a block and creating space and getting someone to, shuffling them around, shuffling your players around, rotations, having that stretch in them as well. It's really important. And so these subtle things that are done in that move there, it's hard to see in live game. It's good to go back and watch them in this illustration like we did just now.
Do you want another one?
Yes, please. I'm hungry.
Okay. All right. Another one is coming now. Is this one we've just watched?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So talk us through this one.
Okay, so here we go again. Wan-Bissaka's plays it centre back. Kobe's playing centre back. Evans into midfield. Dalot plays it back to Kobe, who's at centre back. Varane plays it wide to the winger, and Kobe now. It's Evans drives forward with the ball, plays it wide, and Evans continues his run out wide. He gets it wide and puts his left-footed cross into the danger area. Well done, Johnny Evans. That's why I gave him man in the match yesterday. I remember this. But yeah, just a lot of movement here, rotations of the players. And as you said earlier about Tyrone Mings attacking that sort of space, a centre back running into the driving with the ball. That's what we're seeing here from Evans. And he continues his run. And the defender he gets a lot of space there and gets a good crossing.
And a left-footed cross as well.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Big up Johnny Evans.
All right. Should we go through this?
Yes, please.
All right. First of all, one day you'll remember it, Omondi. La salida vol piano. Okay. This is where a midfielder comes in between the centre backs. Well, most of the time, the centre backs, in order to allow you to get like fullbacks or whatever into wide areas. But once again, it forms a rest defence. So we're protected, and Wan-Bissaka has now got a bit of freedom to do something. Okay. And once again, extremely good play from McTominay because he is behind and in between Asgard and Humphreys. And that means a Deco has to come and pick him up. Mm-hmm. And he's pinned 3 players doing this. And that means we can go out wide. I know a lot of people...
So while we're on this, just go back. So a lot of people say, oh, he's just standing there not trying to retrieve the ball.
Look, all McTominay is trying to do is get him behind and in between. And he's doing it all the time here. And to be fair, quite a lot of them are doing it in this move. So when it starts off, Varane on the ball, plays it to Wan-Bissaka, behind and in between, and he has pinned 4 players in the middle, right?
Big.
Yeah, Rashford and Bruno are R3. So what we're going to do is, Wan-Bissaka can try that ball in there. Or there's lots of little things that we can do here, but they're also respecting the principles, which is that Wan-Bissaka is going to wait to commit Asgard. He's then going to pass it to Varane. He's going to wait to commit Humphreys. He's then going to give it to our best passer, Kobe. And Kobe, if Humphreys, if a Deco doesn't get across, if Shaw doesn't get across, Kobe can just bang it right into Bruno. And that's why you move the ball a little bit slower against a low block and commit people. Right? Gotcha. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. I can't see you though.
Okay.
So the ball comes into Varane. He passes it out to Kobe. Kobe gives it to Evans. Dalot and Scott in very, very good positions, but Evans, he's had enough. He fancies his chances to do something here. So he's going to drive past their first line, which is that line there. Alejandro is being a very good boy, and he is holding the space. Rashford is holding the space. Bruno is pinning a few players. Rasmus is pinning a few players. And with that structure there, which is the rest defence, Wan-Bissaka didn't take the invitation to do anything. But Evans, with all of his experience, he knows he can go here. So he does. So, well, actually, we pass it around a little bit more, but we see that nice rotation there with Wan-Bissaka and Garnacho swapping. You can stick.
Now Rashford's got all the space.
Rashford's being a good boy now. And you can see McTominay is still in between and behind. So Hughes and Adeko are getting picked up. Shaw's having to pick up Bruno. That means Dalot is free. So and also like Garnacho can play it into Scott here if he wants. But he plays it back, plays the way he's facing. Nothing wrong with that. It goes out, and now Dalot is sort of behind and in between. So Evans can commit and he can go. And he does go. And he just drives. Delo makes a movement to create the rest defense. And that movement allows Evans just to attack this space here. And the reason why is because Claire and Godot got pulled out of position to deal with Rashford. And that's why we occupy the width. So he goes, Rashford doesn't move, which is actually very, very good play. I want you to watch Kobe here, Omondi. Kobe pulls from here to create a support angle, and Humphreys follows him. And what that does is that opens the space to Delo.
Okay.
So Delo has access to all this space here, and what he is screaming for is someone to make a run there.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna want. And so here he is. Where's the run? Where's the run? It's bloody Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans makes the run. And here, we've got Garnacho, Rasmus, Bruno, and we've got Scott here. But if only Scott was a little bit, if Scott and Bruno had swapped positions, it's much more dangerous here because Scott and Rasmus are our best attackers of crosses. And here, though, that's our rest defense. So this is why, like, Scott's going to attack it, but this is something that I wonder is correct because we are a little bit defensively exposed if Scott goes. So you would really want Delo to be the one to move into that space. And let's see what happens. The ball comes in, and just from our defensive structure, this is actually pretty good now. This is all right. It's not perfect, but it's all right. And you can see we've got 4 men attacking that cross. Right. And that's really good. Ideally, I'd have liked Rashford to have just tucked in there, but maybe I'm splitting hairs. So when we see it again, and you see the rotations, players playing in, behind, and between, excellent stuff. Really impressed with Wan-Bissaka in this, to be honest.
See why the more I see this now, I see why Dalot is getting a lot of good freedom in those positions, and it's not just he's by luck. He has to be intelligent enough to know when to sort of rotate, when to sort of stay there, and he does get a lot of the ball there. Obviously, with the goal and this move again, there's 2 good illustrations here of him being key in that sort of position.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it is just Wigan, but this is good from United. Like really, really good. Like the players, like when a space is open, they go and fill it.
That's a good chance, to be fair.
Yeah, it is a good chance.
You're talking about the whole point of this show is about breaking down a low block and creating chances, and that to create. I mean, when you look at it properly with this, it is a good chance, and it is created by us. It's not by mistake or them giving the ball away, a transition. We've worked this. This is a training ground drill.
Courage on the ball, players playing for each other, and like the cross is a decent cross. It's not the best you'll ever see, but it's just stuff like this, Omondi. Like when the move starts, watch Rashford and Delo. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The movements. Look at that. That's wonderful. All right. Well, hang on a sec. I just need a glass of water, so we'll just check the comments.
So we've got DK Wilson saying here, if Marcus makes the run, it takes Dalo's move forward with the ball away from him. So, yeah. I mean, do you like that move, though, DK? How to sort of open it up? That was a good... Do you remember that in the game when Johnny Evans had a left-footed cross? I thought that was beautiful. And once again, opening up chances, creating chances. We've got to keep working at this and get when we have got the ball in the opponent's half to sort of create chances like that. It's good stuff. DK
Would you like another animation?
Of course, bring it on. Let me just
All right.
pour myself a glass of orange and let's do this.
Sure. And if anyone's got any questions and stuff, like I can see that let's all laugh at Chelsea. Look, the footballing gods are in a deep and dreamless slumber. Please do not wake them up, Ed Barrett. We've had enough punishment from them this season. Please don't tempt them. And here, Subvid is saying, so you think it's East brief for Rashi to stay up? Look, Rashford was definitely told to do two things, in my opinion. One is to have a deeper starting position in order to draw the fullback towards him and out of their line and expose the channel. And the other one was to stay wide as much as possible. And yesterday I said that his performance was sarcastic because he was doing that exactly. He was doing everything he'd been told to do, but I just didn't get the feeling that he was into it. I don't know if it was, he just didn't think he should be playing against Wigan, or it was beneath him or whatever. Thank you, DK Wilson, but no clapping, please. And I also think that he wasn't helping his teammate Rasmus out enough by giving him the ball like early. But you got to remember that Heath came out last week and criticised everyone. Well, not everyone, but he said that some players. Ten Hag came out and said that some players, doesn't matter how many times I tell them, they won't follow the instructions. And he said that on the pre-season tour as well. And last night, I think that they listened to him. And it's like, and I would keep that team, except for Martinez. I'd put him in instead of Varane, I think. It's very hard to drop Johnny Evans, isn't it? But competition for places. So I have another one for you. So I'm going to share my screen again. We've seen this one. So this is the last one. And you can see... Omondi, talk us through it.
Can you large it up a bit?
Well, if you whisper to me and it'll get bigger.
Varane, centre back, plays it wide to Wan-Bissaka, gets the return and plays it back wide plays into Scott. Scott makes a run wide now. There's a run here from Kobe into midfield, and now it's played wide in the left back position to Rashford. It comes off the fullback.
This is just, I really like the movements here. This is why I chose this clip.
Yeah.
And just a shame that Rashford gets this wrong.
We're in a good position there.
But let's start off again. McTominay in behind and between, pinning this guy, taking these out of the game. Kobe in behind and between, so Godu has got to get on him. Rashford wide, central, interior, wide. Yeah. Lovely, absolutely, but it's beautiful. Ball gets played out to Wan-Bissaka. He passes it back to Varane, and we begin to see some movements. And the big movement is Kobe is dropping back to replace Onana, because Onana was in our back three, and Kobe is coming back to make the back three.
What a fine young man this guy is, boy.
He's impressive, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
And this looks horrible in the center of the pitch, but you've got to remember that this is part of football, that it's fluid and rotations are happening. And once again, McTominay is being a naughty bastard because he is behind and between Jones and Asgard. So Adiko has once again got to come out of position and deal with him. And what that means is that Alejandro Garnacho has a 1v1 against Session. And if Wan-Bissaka chooses to pass it back, we have the passing network to get it out to Rashford safely. So excellent stuff from United. Wan-Bissaka drops it into Scott. Scott passes it back, and then beautiful. He runs the channel, and that allows Garnacho infield.
Yeah.
So when he runs, Adeko and Session have got decisions to make. because Session doesn't want to find himself in this area here, and Adeko doesn't want to find himself in this area here. And this, I don't know about you, Omondi, but I don't know if I'd pass the man off here.
Well, if Scott's going, yeah, you would pass him off.
So if you're Adeko, you pass him off to Session.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, 100%, I'd say.
Because, I mean, that's the rule, basically. That's the rule. But it's also, the other thing is that McTominay has absolutely monstered Adeko all match. And I think in these situations, you'd be surprised how often Adeko gets there before he realizes that he should have passed off to Session. Because it's fluid. And then Bruno has been sensible and has just got back into this space. Godu is being a good boy and is on Delo, and Claire is having a nightmare about that man in that position there. So ball gets played through. Kobe, you're such a little superstar. Wow. Look at that. Do you know what he's done? Wow. He's run to get in between Asgard. Wow. He's behind and between. Yeah. And what that means is that these two are pinned, right? Yeah. So Varane is going to be able to get it out to Rashford through this pass.
Kobe made him take a bow.
Oh, he's good. He's good, Omondi. I'm intrigued to see what he does. And also, we've basically got 3 men in between the lines here. Yeah. And it's the combination of 2 youth academy graduates in McTominay and Kobe whose rotations have opened up the pitch, which is very nice to see. Ball gets through, and then Garnacho and McTominay have rotated. So we've got them where we want them, basically. We've got Alejandro in a wide area, Scott central. Delo has just run off here. Godu has gone with him. Rashford, Rashford is here in a wide area, but sort of like offset. So Claire, if he goes out here, Bruno can make that run. Delo can make that run. Rasmus can make that run. So this is good management, good tactics.
And just going back to the point of shuffling them around, but from that position there, as a defensive unit for Wigan, there's a 1 or 2 passes you could be exploited in that sort of left back area quite easily.
I mean, like, look, that is one of the biggest channels I've ever seen in my life. Like, that's incredible. And then as it gets played through, we do make the rotations. Sure, he's just a little bit slow. Bruno's got there. Delo, and once again, Kobe is dropping. Where's he dropping?
To receive the pass.
Behind and between.
Yeah.
Behind and between. And look, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to be the free man, like moving into this area here to make the 5 attackers. It's absolutely brilliant play. And also, Rashford's got a safe ball. He's got 2 safe balls if he needs to. But unfortunately, Rashford tries something, which is he tries to swing it like into Delo. It doesn't work. This happens in football, and it bounces off. But it's another example of our players kind of like knowing the rules of how to manipulate a low block. And the 3 outstanding players to me in this sequence, and they were all game, is Kobe, Delo, and McTominay. Like these players, whatever you think about them, they're doing off the ball. They're doing exactly what they need to do, and they're doing it really well. So we'll just watch that sequence again with all that in mind. Just pick a player and watch them.
So much movement. This is a great move to put up. Even though nothing comes from it, it just highlights once again all the points of what you're saying earlier about breaking down.
Yeah,
earlier. The movement is beautiful.
It's so good. This is what we need. But I also would like to see us doing this and then defending a transition. But I couldn't do any more animations. Like my shoulder is killing me from moving these people around. I had to go on the website and see what the numbers were for the Wigan players and their shirts. Ugh, horrible. But yeah, that's what I've been up to for the last couple of hours, is doing all of that. So it's probably time to look at some comments.
Stephanie Griffiths saying here, Shane Maynard got injured pre-season. I really think Ten Hag was pinning his hopes on him this season, despite his young age. He's 18, I believe, 18 or 19. Ed saying here, Rashi is the most effective runner away from people rather than being part of an attacking force. Boot it forward. Hope he either plays someone in or scores in a one-on-one situation. Subs is saying, imagine if Rashi did a back heel then. Because Bruno, if he could have played down the line, Bruno looked like he was in attacking that sort of space. But it's good to see. I mean, when we talk about Man United this season, we've been poor. This is really encouraging, Bathtime, to me, to see things developing. You want to see, like, when Ange came to Tottenham, everyone was saying, oh, look, he's had an instant effect and thing. But this is something we're seeing today, despite being against Wigan, that's showing that there's some practice, there's some method here to the way we want to play and the way we can play if we put things together. So, like you said, those 3 players were instrumental in that. I would add Evans into that as well. He seems to know he's on the page, and that's probably why their manager likes him as well, because he seems to be doing the right things. But yeah, just on that point, would you want to talk about our striker, the guy who's not getting any goals? What's his contribution to this movement? Is he on point? Is he on the right page, you reckon, with breaking down defences and his movement?
No, Monday. So in our group chat, lads, earlier on today, I sent a message like a couple of hours ago. I said, I'm doing the animations. Rasmus is killing us. I decided not to include the clips where it breaks down around Rasmus, but it's Wigan, right? And he's losing the ball when he should be shielding it. It happened 4 times in the first 15 minutes that he dropped into a pocket of space, the way that Martial or someone would, and he lost the ball every single time. His runs, I haven't highlighted them today, but if you go and watch the clips again, you'll see that like he's running in the same space as players. When Kobe was working that channel, Rasmus was also sort of getting in his way instead of making the correct movements. He seems a long way behind the rest of them, and there's doubts about his quality. And I don't want to shit on him because he's one of our players and stuff. Yeah. But the more I see of him, the more I think that the more I think we really need to go into the loan market or something, because even Weghorst, if Weghorst can hold a ball up, he'll be better than Rasmus Højlund,
right?
In the system. So that was really concerning, but I didn't want to include those. You can go and watch the highlights, and you could see Rasmus getting a lot of things wrong. But do me a favor, just go back to the PowerPoint thing. So because now that I've seen the illustrations, because reading the PowerPoints initially, if you can just sort of quickly go through them, the pointers and how to break things down, and just so we can word it, so it makes more sense to me now. Okay, so that's stretching the block.
Yep.
Like you've seen that structure.
You've seen that illustration, yeah.
Okay. Behind and between.
This is
pin players centrally. Happy with this one?
Yep.
Do you want the next one?
Just a pin, if you can just read it out, because obviously saw that with McTominay, you can't highlight McTominay doing this, and
So you want to pin players centrally. It's like a striker basically is pretty happy if he's got 2 centre backs either side of him, because those centre backs are pinned centrally, and that means that there's more space. Same for a midfielder. So pin a player centrally. You do that by getting behind and between, so they have to stay there for their sort of cover shadow and the screening and so on, and that also brings a player forward to have to deal with you, which is why you're playing in between the lines. So you're creating more space. And like when I was pointing out what McTominay was doing, sometimes he had 5 people pinned because of his position. And a long time ago, Omondi turned around on McTominay because we watched. Do you remember when we watched West Ham versus
Rice?
It was Rice versus McTominay, and I showed you what McTominay was doing.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing here. Is he's offsetting himself, getting behind and between and pinning players around him. And he's also positioning himself at an angle. So when you see Aaron Wan-Bissaka gave him the ball, McTominay passed it inside or outside, I can't remember. If you go back to pre-season, Casemiro was in the same position and Casemiro got it wrong and the ball got robbed. And I know it's only pre-season, but things like this matter. So behind and between, if you see a player behind people and in between them, 90% of the time they're doing the right thing.
Good.
Then the half space. So attack the half space on the ball, which is what Rashford was doing. He was staying back, and when he got the ball, he was going into the half space. Or Dalot was going into the half space. And do you remember I said create passing options either side? Johnny Evans, when he hit that left-footed cross, he ran on the outside of the channel, and Dalot was able to pass it outside for the cross. And also be on different lines so you can combine. Is that
very good?
Happy?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Move the block. Only switch from central positions, which we saw from Kobe and Varane.
Yeah.
Work the ball horizontally, which we saw from Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Evans. Commit a man before passing. We saw Wan-Bissaka and Varane doing that.
Yeah.
Centre-backs can drive vertically to commit, which is what we saw Johnny Evans do. I obviously can't show people scanning the block, and we didn't actually get too many balls. We had opportunities, but we didn't get too many balls through. But we were doing fine, so not that bad. And receivers should off angle. In particular, Dalot, Kobe, and Rashford were doing that. So when Rashford gets the ball, he's not straight, he's at an angle. So as was it Subvid said, he could do a back heel, he could pass here, he could pass there. That's because he's offset himself. Yeah. And then rotations.
We saw a lot of this. This is beautiful.
Occupy the central areas. So, for example, when McTominay ran the channel, what did Garnacho do?
Come inside.
To occupy the central areas.
Yeah.
Create diagonals. Kobe, Dalot, McTominay were all creating diagonals in that match to allow those. So creating diagonals is very similar to getting behind and between, because that's the diagonal pass. Move to create the rest defense. So Dalot was doing this a lot, and Wan-Bissaka. When Johnny Evans went, Wan-Bissaka came more central. Kobe went more central in order to protect the center spaces. So thus is my presentation. This is my gift to you on how to beat a low block.
Great work, man. Great work. Especially, it's like a lesson for me to see that in firsthand, yesterday in the game, and then see the pointers and why, you can sort of break down what Ten Hag's trying to do. It's clearer now. And for me, when people say Ten Hag out or the issues that we're having, you can see there's something he's trying to do here to sort of break teams down or to work moves. And it's down to the players. And the players that have been positive are the ones that have seen come through the academy, it seems, or the ones who have got the work rate to sort of trying to make these things happen and be awake during the game to sort of understand what they're supposed to do at all times, not fall asleep out here. And it's really interesting to see these basics, these bullet points about how to do it, and just repeating them over and over again. For me, in my mind, I'm going to rewatch the show, repeat them, so I know exactly why there's a method to the movement. That's the most important thing. There's got to be a method to it. DK Wilson saying thanks, Bathtime, for sure. Take a bow. No, honestly, thank you.
I'll tell you why I hate this, Omondi.
Why?
Is because social media and YouTube is appalling for analysis of football. It's disgraceful, the stuff that I see coming out. And this isn't even that in depth, to be honest. This is just fundamentals of football. And the fact that you're applauding it is because, without bigging myself up, it's levels above anything you'll find on other channels, because it's detailed and I work hard to do my best. And I don't think that should be applauded. I think DK Wilson, we should go to other channels and call them dickheads.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. It needs to be applauded because what it is, it's all right explaining something, but having the confidence to explain things, which a lot of people can't do. They talk a lot, but talking loud, but saying nothing, and they don't understand. You're confident by achievement, don't you? You gain confidence by achievement. And if you can talk confidently about something that you know, then it's great. If I put you on mastermind or something, your favorite subject would be football tactics or something.
Lord of the Rings, thank you very much.
But yeah, after Lord of the Rings, sure. You know, but these are fundamentals that should be employed in anyone who's played football like you have at a good level. You understand yourself. The game. It's about the mechanics of the game, isn't it? Yeah, but I can't explain it in the way you do in so much detail to get these points out. You know, it's a different thing. And I think a lot of pro footballers who have played at a top level still don't really know how to explain it. They've just been taught a lot of the time. So I love the simplicity of it. I love the fact that you can explain the simplicity of the basics of it and really well and illustrate it as well, which makes this show and the work you put into this show fantastic. Bath Time. So I'm with DK Walston. I'm saying take a bow, even though we can't see you bow, but thumbs up to you, man. This is quality, absolute quality. Thank you.
It's all right. Like, look, I had to do this in Chile and in Spain for like 10 years or whatever it was. Like, we used to have a homework. We used to have to go and drill this. We used to have to go and do this. This isn't like live action role play. Like myself and Omondi have like played I'm going to say high levels of football because they're higher than average, aren't they? And it was kind of our lives. So this is why I don't like it being clapped, because I just think that these people who don't understand these things shouldn't be talking about them. Or they should be working harder. But I'm not going to complain about other channels. I'm just going to say thank you for the compliments.
Well deserved, Bath Time. And obviously, it's like I know that animation is really hard to do. And I think people in the comments realize how much work goes into it to position each player, to move each player. You know, it takes a lot of time and effort. And I think I appreciate the time and effort that Bath Time puts into it, and most of all, I appreciate it's an education to see what's going on the football pitch. So when we do the eye test show, it's to help us, myself especially, and you guys in the comments when we're watching the game to report back better, to understand what's more really going on in the game a lot of the time, because I can sit down and watch a game and go, yeah, pump it forward, oh, good tackle and all that kind of thing. But you're missing, there's two-part sides of it. You're missing the actual intricate things that are going on in the game, which is kind of nerdy, but it's so important. This is what coaches watch. This is what people who like tactics watch during football. DK Watson's now US sports like baseball, basketball, American football. They are kind of stop-start, but they are a lot of plays. They have a lot of plays, don't they? The coach say, right, we're doing this play, 49, 46, 48. You know, in American football, there's a lot of plays involved, and the players have to be on board with the plays when it stop-start like that. So DK Wilson saying here, in the US, most often you'll have former players with huge channels breaking down games. I don't think I've ever seen a former college basketball player who didn't play in the NBA doing analysis. So former players, obviously, you have to, I think in American sports, you have to be understanding what the coach is wanting for the different plays that they have. Because football is a more fluid game, there's less stop-start necessarily. I think players have to adapt and be a bit more proactive in that sense. But
yeah, no transitions in American football. My coach used to go on about it all the time.
Fast breaks in basketball is a transition, is it? The
American football.
In American football, yeah, for sure.
It's just set pieces. He was fascinated by it. He used to make us, particularly with blocking. He used to like tell us about all this stuff. And I mean, like I did a lot of work, but I'm not watching American football.
I don't understand American football that much, but I've watched a lot of basketball. I've watched it for years, since the 80s.
The triangle defense is something I hear quite a lot about. It came from
Jackson.
Yeah, like a lot of stuff came. But anyway, look, there are 9 people watching, so thanks very much for spending 90 minutes of your time. We'll just finish on Monday. Did you watch the Battle of Helm's Deep?
No, I didn't. I said I would, but I didn't. What I'm going to do is try and watch it now, because 2 nights in a row, I don't want to let you down. So it's a battle in The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Okay, guys, go
Right.
check out the battle in the Lord of the Rings. Otherwise, I will pester you and be upset with you. Like
we'll do something about the rotations of the orcs attacking Helm's Deep.
He said it's a better battle than the one in Endgame from Avengers.
Much better.
It, but
much better.
I'm soon to find out. But yeah, the battle between 11 men in football is eternal, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And looks like we're on the verge of winning again with our strategy. So over to you, Commander Bathtime, with your
do we have an outro?
Yes, we don't have an outro.
All right. Should I just end it?
Yeah, let's just end it and say goodbye. But guys, don't forget, we're back tomorrow. Make sure you save and rewatch the eye test. It's been a brilliant show, I think, today, and highlighting again how we beat Wigan and the improvements we're seeing, especially from certain players. So big up Bathtime, big up DK Wilson, Ed, Stephanie, Matt, all you guys in the comments. Appreciate you coming along.
Yeah, you can see my Twitter or X or whatever it is handle underneath this. If any of you want these documents or animations, just tag me in a message and I'll send them to you. But thanks very much. Omondi, wave because I'm ending the stream.
Bye, guys. Thank you.